Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time since you've joined me on the bank, but I've got to a point now on the build of the house where I can take a little bit of time out. So you guys that are frequent to my channel, you would have remembered a video that I put out sort of in the autumn time where I caught this remarkable mirror, and that really is or has been the highlight of my year. And even though I've caught some remarkable fish, that is the one that stands out for me. And if you remember at the end of that video, I said that I would give it a rest on here, and I wouldn't fish again on the bottom because I didn't want to spoil anyone else's chances. But it seems like up here it's a social water really, and everyone seems to fish it all the time anyway, regardless of what they call it. So me not having much bank time in recently, I decided that that's the place for me to go at the moment. I haven't really got any other tickets, so and I've heard that it does fish well in the winter, so I thought this is the place for me to dust the rods off and get back out on the bank. So this is the venue of what this video is going to be about. So before I joined this syndicate, I heard that in the winter the fish like to congregate up where the river joins the lake, and it's only like 2 or 3 foot deep up there. And on frosty mornings when it's really, really cold, I've seen it now with my own eyes, and it is absolutely remarkable. They love to sit up there where the fresh water's flowing into the lake, and it's mental because this end down here is the deeper end, you know, where you'd think that the majority of the fish would sit, and I think that is the case in a few situations. But what I've seen over the last couple of sessions is they've been up that end, and I'm going to tell you all about this now. And it's been a really, really nice time to be back out on the bank and catching, and I've been making the most of those fish sitting up there in the fresh flowing water. So when I came down, it was still dark. I had the head torch on, and I literally, all this clear area here is obviously where it washes in the water and clears the bottom, and there were about 20 fish all sitting here. So I'm really, really silly if I don't take time after what I've seen. It'd be pretty mental stuff. Perched up there in the little fox's den, but one rod might just do it. And I've got loads of maggots with me as well, and I just chucked a few on the bottom, and they haven't seemed to be drifted away, so that's a good sign. Just as long as we don't get much rain today. And the temperature, this is what really got me buzzed for today, is it's like 12 degrees. We've had minuses the last week, and now it's suddenly that warm spell, and I mean I'm roasting here now. Got that adrenaline pumping. I miss being out on the bank. Just fingers crossed that I'm not too rusty and try and catch one. So. So, not a lot has happened today. I've stayed put in this swim. I only fished for probably 2 or 3 hours whilst I could still see that they were here, and then they seem to have disappeared through the day. So I went off, got some food, because I wasn't actually going to do a night, but I think it's too good an opportunity to miss. So, gone and got my food, and now all my rods are in position, ready for when they return tonight. I've made sure that everything is done. So yeah, all I have to do now is hopefully wait for them to push back down tonight. That's the plan, you know. They probably won't even turn up, probably stay right up the other end of the lake again, but it's mild for January, and they were here last night in numbers, so I can only hope they return. Like I say, this end of the lake doesn't see as much pressure as you'd think it would, because it's more of like the social area up there, so it doesn't seem to get fished as much, but they were here in numbers this morning, and I just hope they turn up again tonight and we can get underway in 2022 on the syndicate, hopefully by the morning. Come on. Yes, we got one. It's literally just turned dark, well, about an hour or so ago, and we've got one. I knew it. I knew it was worth staying tonight. It's only 8 o'clock, and there's plenty more time for another. So, yeah, have a look at this. Nice. Caught it on the maggots, on the withy pool. Short, supple hook link, and that is how I caught them all last year in the winter. Let's get her out. I'm not going to be able to film it because it's dark, but I'll show you some shots. Jake the bailiff's just down in the next couple of swims, so he will probably come out and do some shots for me. Hopefully. Got that rod back out. Was just about to get this fish out for a photo, and now we have 2 in there. Not a bad welcome back to the bank. Nice little brace of commons. Sick. That's what we like. Well, it's quite hard for me to film in the dark, but it's 10 o'clock now and I'm on my third fish, so I can't sack it. So I'm gonna have to get Jake the bailiff again to come down and do some shots for us. But this one's definitely a better one. It's a stocky, but it's definitely over £20, 100%. So for January, you can't grumble, can you? So, yeah. That was quite some eventful night. Had 3 small commons, and then we had that mirror, which was just under £25. We weighed it because it was a stocky that they put in last year, and he just wanted to see if it was making progress. And then after that, the temperatures really did plummet. I didn't quite realise it was going to get cold like that. Yeah, but the mat up there looks like it's got frost on. I think I'm going to give it a couple more hours, then get off home. Got a new fish tank and that to set up today, so I'm quite buzzed about that. I like all that stuff. So yeah, let's get the kettle on, warm up a little bit. There's always chance of another, isn't there? But if not, it's been a good January session. About 8 o'clock in the morning, I thought, I'm wasting my time. I'm going to pack up and I'm going to get out of it. So that's exactly what I've done. Made sure everything was on the barrow. And as I'm walking back up this bank with a loaded barrow, I get about halfway up and I realise these carp, only 3 or 4 rod lengths out from the bank, I see a couple of heads just poke out. And that was, I thought that was really peculiar, especially being a frosty morning. So I had to make the most of this, and I really didn't want to have to get my gear back out, you know, especially as it was so cold. My hands were numb as anything. But when you see something like that on a cold morning, especially in the winter, you have to make the most of it. And I thought, give it an hour max, and it really did not need an hour. It was 2 minutes, I think, and I literally just watched my hanger hit the top of the rod and just release back down really slowly, thinking that I'd had a liner, and suddenly it whacked up. Didn't even have time to put the alarm on. I put 1 rod out and it's away. And this was a very special carp to be having in these minus temperatures. Well, it's been quite a prolific 24 hours for me. Started off down the shallows and had 4 last night, but I couldn't film them because obviously darkness and my camera's not equipped for it. But I packed up this morning, moved down here a couple of swims, and I'm had the rod in the water 30 seconds and this is ripped off. Is this one of the old ones, Jake? A fish known as cuttail.
Original.
One of the original OGs. But what a January treat. Look at that. Proper nice fish. Look at the colours on it. Colours are always remarkable in this a fish in this lake, and this one's got a tint of orange to it. Nice. I should give it some water. Thank you very much. As that session went so remarkable, I thought I've got to have another day session next weekend, and I could only fit in a morning, and it was it was on the Saturday, working on what had happened the week previous. I thought I've got to get back down there, and as I've peered in the darkness with my head torch again into the river, I noticed that the water was a really weird colour, and this lake is known for rubbish and debris and everything coming in and flowing straight back out. That's what this lake was built for, I think. It was a silt pit, what one of the bailiffs told me. So basically it's supposed to catch all the rubbish of the river, what the river's bringing in, and taking back out again. But on this occasion I couldn't figure out what this smell was. There was a horrific stench as I'm trying to put the rods out that morning, and I realised that the water was a lot more murked up, and it wasn't until it started getting light that I noticed my hands were totally black. And this lake's in the middle of an industrial estate, so I'm not quite sure what's happened. I've seen a lot of rubbish come down here in the past on a few sessions, but this was different. There was a big old slick coming across the lake, and I realised that someone or something had washed a load of diesel into the river system, and it all washed straight into the lake. But what is a plus point about this is it seems to flow straight through the middle of the lake, so whatever comes in does go out pretty quickly. So these carp are pretty used to seeing a few things, but that was mental. It was the first thing I've ever seen like that, with diesel floating into the lake and me fishing. So I decided to put it on hold, and this now is the session where you join me. I've turned up this morning again, 5 o'clock. You know, I like on a day session to get here before first light and know that the time the sun rises that I'm going to be fishing. And I've managed to get into the same swim as what I call the common from, because cut a long story short, they're not up there in the river this morning. It wasn't as cold last night, but it is bitterly cold now. I'm absolutely freezing as I'm telling this, but they weren't up there, so I've decided to jump in this swim again. And what I did notice on the first session was a lot of the carp were sitting mid-water, up in the layers, and it's not very deep out in front. It's very deep with silt, but on top of the silt to where the surface is, I reckon it's only 5 foot max. And I've put 2.5 3 foot zigs out, and I've caught sometimes you've got to go for a different tactic. You've got to change things up with what you see. And, like I say, it's happened. It's the only problem fishing light tackle, isn't it? It's definitely woken up, dancing around underneath the rock. The water's so gin clear that I can see it, everything's going on. And yeah, don't want to put too much pressure on it. It's only a 10-pound hook ring. But like I say, if it goes in or not, I'm really pleased that I managed to figure out a different tactic that's going to work in the winter. The tactics that I caught this on were a bit of black foam fished at 3 foot depth, something like that, and with just a couple of maggots just to top it off. But yeah, sometimes there's zigs in these colder colder temperatures are definitely the way forward. I've done alright over the last couple of sessions on them, so proof in the pudding. So you guys that are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, because there's more content coming your way very soon. What I must say is thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.